My name is Jennifer and I work at the Noble Library in Noble, Oklahoma. And I'm here today to show you how to make some friendship bracelets. So the first thing I want to show you is what you'll need to get started. This is a very affordable project, great for tweens and teens, doesn't cost a lot to get going. You'll need some embroidery floss, and there are lots of craft stores that sell embroidery floss, and it's very affordable. Usually one skein of it is about $1 or less, so you don't need a whole lot of it. You can get started on this project for probably less than $10. You need some duct tape, so you're going to use that to hold down your project while you're working. You'll need a pair of scissors, and if you want to measure the length of the project to get an idea of how long it's going to be, a ruler is helpful, especially if you are making it as a bracelet and you want to measure how long it will be to fit around someone's wrist. Today I have with me 5 colors that I'm going to use for this, and this is a finger weaving technique. So you're going to use 5 different threads when you're doing it. They can be all different colors. You could do 2 threads in one color and 3 in another. I'm going to do 5 different ones to make it easier to see what's happening while we're making our bracelet today. You don't have to use embroidery floss also. You could perhaps make this with yarn, with any type of thread that you have around. It's just going to change the thickness of your bracelet when you're done. So I'm going to hold a few up so you can take a look at what these look like. It's sort of like, I don't know how to describe this. It's going to be little V's in different colors. So this is one I did with 2 different colors of embroidery floss. So you can see that it's a yellow and green. So you're going to have little V's in yellow and green. This one had 5 different colors. And so you're seeing those V's in different browns and cream colors on this one. So we're going to get started by first thinking about how long we want the project to be. If you see these ones that are here, they're a little long for a bracelet for someone like me. So I might make them a little shorter today. And we're doubling up our floss when we're doing it. So that means whatever length you want it to be, you're going to cut your floss to twice that length. So if I think, okay, for me, if I'm making this for myself, a bracelet that would go around my wrist would probably be about maybe 6, 7 inches. I'm going to double that and then give a little bit more room also to tie it off at the end. So I might go, let's say, 20 inches on my thread today. That will give me some room to work with. I can always stop at any point or cut it a little bit shorter. So here is 12 inches. And 8 more to get somewhere around 20. Once I've cut one piece to that length, I'm going to do the other threads all to the same length. So here's my red piece. And I'm going to do an orange to that same length of about 20 inches on this one. And we're going to grab a yellow also. Now, if you've worked with embroidery floss before, you know that it comes with 6 strands. We're using all of the strands, so we're not separating them out or doing anything complicated with this. And you really could use anything on this. Like you could use yarn if you wanted to make a cord that instead of a friendship bracelet could be something like perhaps a handle on a purse strap if you crochet. You could make cording that you use for other crafts and places. Like you could make a cord, you could make it really long and make it a shoelace, or make it edging that you put on a purse or on clothing to add a decorative edge. So you could use these in a lot of different ways and make them as long or short as you like. Now that you've got 5 strands, you're doubling it over to make them all into loops that you can hook on your fingers. So we're going to fold the whole thing in half, like this, and tie a knot at the end. This is just a simple overhand knot. There's nothing fancy about it, but we're just tying all 5 strands together and pulling it really tight. And you can see now that we've got a bunch of loops. And those are 5 separate loops here with a knot at the end. You need to somehow stabilize the end with the knot because we're going to be using a finger weaving technique that requires pulling your thread fairly tightly. When I used to make these, and I first learned this in elementary school, I would hook a safety pin through the knot and attach them to my jeans or my carpet in my bedroom. I'm going to use duct tape today to do it so that we aren't putting holes in things, and since we're working at a table. But you've got to fix your knot somewhere to hold this end. You could have a really generous friend who wants to stand there and hold it for you, but that doesn't sound very fun for them. All right, so we're going to attach some duct tape to the end. I can get it off of here. Now, while we're getting this set up, this is a great fine motor activity for kids who, maybe a lot of kids today haven't done a lot of projects like this, so it's a great one to practice those fine motor skills. I would probably recommend teaching it to teens or tweens, but some elementary students could probably figure it out as well. So we've got this tape down on the knot end, and I have 5 strands right here. I'm going to think about my hands as having 3 fingers right now. So I'm going to use my pointer, my middle finger, and my ring. My pinky and my thumb aren't going to do anything in this process. And I'm going to hook the strands on my fingers. So hopefully you can see that okay. And think of them as kind of holding those strands. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now you'll notice since we're working with 5, currently I have 2 on one hand and 3 on the other. So the way to think about this project is you're always moving back and forth to your ring finger. So you're always trying to get a strand over to the ring finger that currently doesn't have one. So right now on my left hand, this ring finger is empty, and my other hand has 3 on it. So I want to get 3 over to the left side from the right. So when you're looking at these strands, I said we started with 5, but you've really got like 10 in front of you. So think about how these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you've really got 10 strings in front of you. And this is a weaving technique, so you're going between different strands. So the first step is to take that ring finger that's empty, come over to the other side. These can just sort of float down here, lower on your hand so that they're just out of the way, but you're staying hooked on. And I should mention that when you start this project, you're kind of stuck with them on your fingers till you're done. So it's not an easy one to stop partway through. If you do, you'll probably get a little twist in your strands, which is not a huge deal. It won't be that noticeable, but if you set it down, it can be tricky to pick it back up the exact way you had it. So I'm going to ignore these 2 and just let them kind of sit there on my pinky and my middle, or my pointer and my middle finger. And I'm going to take this ring finger and come over to the other side and think about these strands as having 2 parts, and we're going in between. So we're going under the first and over the second one, under the first and over the second one. So now I've got on my ring finger, I have the orange and the red strand. Those ones are just sitting there so that I can pull this final one that's on my pointer in between. I'm going to kind of twist my hand, and this may be hard to see, so I'm going to do it a bunch of times slowly, and grab the top part of the one that's on that pointer finger. So I'm going to grab it and pull it through the other 2, and then kind of spread it apart to pull it tight. How tight you want to pull it will determine how kind of rigid your bracelet is. If you pull it really tight like I tend to do, your bracelet's going to be really rigid and smaller. If you pull it a little more loosely, it'll be more flexible and a little bit bigger. So now remember, we're always working with that ring finger. So right now it's my pointer that's empty. So I'm going to, this is where the fine motor comes in, move this over. So I'm going to move that red one over from my middle finger to my pointer and move the orange one over. So now I'm back where I started, but opposite of what we had before. Now my left hand has 3 strings on it, and my right hand has 2. So again, we're always working with that empty ring finger. So I'm going to come over to the side, go under, and pick up the second string, And do the same thing on that blue and yellow. These ones, you're really just getting your finger underneath. You're not really grabbing them, but you're kind of getting in between so that we can pull this green string through the other two strings. So I'm going to reach around and grab the top of the green one and let go with the pointer and pull that through. So I'm going to do that now a few times really slowly so you can just watch. I'm moving the thread over on this hand to make that ring finger available. Now it takes a minute till you start to see the pattern emerge. So when you do this the first time, you may say, okay, I'm looking down there at the knotted area and it just looks like a big old mess. It will start to look like those V's as you get 2 or 3 rows in. So I'm going in between and grabbing that top one. Now at this point, once you have the feeling of it down, you can start going a little more quickly. And if you've done this for nearly 40 years like I have, you can go pretty fast. This project, once kids get good at it, can be something you can do in 10 or 15 minutes or less. Now, when you stop is completely up to you. If you just want a little bit of braided cord, you could stop early and use those strings to attach to something. If you want to go all the way till it gets close to the end, that works too. So I've been going fast for a while now. I'm going to slow down again so you can see that process. So if you're following along, you can watch this to figure out exactly how to do this. I'm going to go under and under. So we're going between that orange and red thread. We're grabbing the top of the one that's on my pointer and releasing it, pulling those through. So you're sort of thinking about your the embroidery floss that's on your pointer is always going in between the other two. It really is a form of weaving. So at this point when you're doing it, you're going to start to notice the design start to emerge. Now I didn't lay these ones out in a rainbow spectrum, I just put them on any finger. But as you do more of these, you can start thinking about what you want your design to look like. Do you want to use 5 colors so that the colors are in specific places? You'll have to think about which fingers they're on and how they'll move when you're doing it. Many people do this in 2 colors, so they'll start with 3 threads of the same color on one hand and 2 threads of a different color on the other, and then you just get 2 different color stripes on your bracelet. Now if you do need to set it down, you have to walk away and come back to it. The best way to do that is to lay it on a surface where it won't be disturbed and sort of lay it out flat the same way that your fingers would be when you pick it back up. So you can see my loops here in the same form that they would be in my fingers. They almost look like a bunch of fingers laying on the table. And you could put a piece of tape. You could do this on cardboard or on a table to make sure you hold it in the same spot so that it stays where you're at. If it gets messed up, you can just pick them all up and start again. And you'll just have a little maybe change in your pattern or a little twist in the middle, and it won't be that noticeable. So as I pick these back up, I'm going to put them back on my fingers the same way that they're laid out. So that I can keep going on this process. Now when you get to the end, you can just tie a knot and leave some extra thread so that you could tie the loose threads together. If you do any type of jewelry making, you could attach to the end some type of a clasp or fastener. I was even thinking that you could use these to make drawstrings on bags if you needed to replace one, and use the fasteners that turn a cord into a drawstring. There's lots of different ways that you can finish it off. All right, as we're coming to the end of our strings, you can see they're getting closer and closer to my fingers, and it's getting a little harder to work. So at this point, I might tie it off so it can be a bracelet. So all I'm going to do is pull all these straight, take my tape off, and you can see right here, we've got all 5 colors in little V's happening. So I'm going to take this part at the end and just tie a knot, or if I was giving it to a friend, I could just tie it right onto their wrist as well. So I'm just going to tie a knot right here so it doesn't come undone, and it does get a little tricky when you have basically 10 threads right there. And it's knotted off, and there is your friendship bracelet, ready to go on someone's wrist. So if you liked this video, please like and subscribe, and watch more videos that we've got from the Pioneer Library System to show you lots of cool things you can do at home.